I'll take the public comment.
Very well, I have it down to public comment. Thank you. Gigi. Good morning, Gigi.
I would like to speak on general public comment, and then I'll raise my hand if I decide I want to speak on the items.
Very well, thank you, Gigi. And I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute and lower your hand. I'll take one more call out for members of the public who wish to offer comment in approximately 6 minutes. Time is 9:54. We should get started with the board meeting at approximately 10 a.m. Thank you. Good morning once again to our attendees who are joining us here in the hearing room, and good morning to our attendees who are joining us on the virtual platform. I do have a number of attendees who have identified themselves and wish to offer public comment and multiple item agenda commentary this morning. I have Audit LA, Jill, Mo, Yvonne, Miriam, Nisa, and Gigi. If there are any other members of the public who wish to offer commentary, please raise your hand at this time. Identify yourself for the record in which I'd like to speak on, and I will record your information for the record. I would like to note that our agenda this morning is rather short. It does have 2 items, so there will be a 2-minute maximum for those attendees who wish to offer commentary on all items. Thank you. We are now in record mode. President Corsand.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Board of Public Works meeting for Monday, February 10th. Mr. Knight, if you'd like to take roll and establish quorum for us, please.
Very well. Good morning, President Corsand, Vice President Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioners Kang and Commissioner Mitchell are present. We do have a quorum. We are joined this morning by City Attorney Representative Thomas Costello Vega. I'm Assistant Executive Officer TJ Knight. President Corsand, we have 7 speaker cards under public comment. We have 2 multiple item agenda commenters. We have no neighborhood council commentary this morning.
Thank you. With that, we'll start with general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items. And we provided up to 1 minute per person for a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment. Testimony shall be limited in content to matters which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, and the board may not take any action on matters discussed during the public comment period.
Very well. We will go ahead and start with Audit LA. Audit LA, you have 60 seconds to offer your commentary. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm hearing like a background noise. Yes. Hold on. Hello. Can you hear? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm calling because for the same thing, the planters. Okay, you're saying that you can't help within the jurisdiction of what we're talking about, but you can. You have the authority to remove these planters. It is against the law. There's not only ADA federal laws, but there's also local penal laws against against anyone blocking, access to sidewalks. So they want to, the city's willing to go after a protester for using a bullhorn or for picking up the trash that Scientology is leaving, but they're not willing to go after the people who are creating the problems, the people who are blocking the egress and regress of everyone, the people who are abusing the city and the system, and the people who want a free vacation to hide their crime.
Thank you, Audit LA. We'll move next to Jill. Jill, go ahead.
By you not removing the planters placed by the cult of Scientology means you stand with child trafficking. By you not removing the planters and that they're still there means that you stand with crimes of child trafficking. By you not removing the planters means you stand with labor laws being broken and child labor and also by you not removing the planters, you stand with crimes that are being committed by the cult of Scientology. By you not removing the planters, you stand with abuse of elderly. By you not removing the planters, you stand with abuse and people being put in concentration camp-like conditions on the RPF, which they call the Rehabilitation Project Force. By you not removing the planters, you stand with the crimes of Scientology. You might as well be the criminals just like them. Bye.
We'll move next to Mo. Mo?
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hello, board. It's me again, Mona. My Zoom name is wrong. And I want to remind you about the hearing that will be coming up supposedly about these planners through the city attorney's office, and how the hearings for that other gentleman with the organization, the nonprofit organization down in Riverside, that went through the hearings and it was public. Why are these being hidden? Why are these being subjected to privacy issues? It's not the same. You guys need to be the same and equitable in your justice, and these hearings need to be public. We are victims. We can't use our wheelchairs. We can't get in and out. We can't have ingress or egress, and these are public hearings. I wish for you to make that statement to the city attorney's office. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
We'll move next to Yvonne. Yvonne?
Planters. Yes.
Go
Thank you, TJ.
Yes.
I
ahead.
too am concerned about the planters. I'm also reporting to you that they are spawning. They are also located around the Celebrity Center in off of Yucca is the street they're on. And they wrap all the way around Yucca to what is that? That is Franklin Avenue. The point being, the Scientologists own many, many buildings in Los Angeles. Let them get away with it here. It will spread like the measles. You need to stop this gang-like activity, or the Hells Angels or the Crips or the Bloods or whoever else is a gang will start the same behavior. Isn't that why you have codes and ordinances? Thank you.
And we'll move next to Miriam. Go ahead, Miriam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Talking about the planters as well, you really need to start to do something about this issue. It's been way, way, way overdue now at this point. It's been flagged every single meeting for the past 7 months. What does it take to get them removed? Thank you.
And we'll move next to Nisa. Go ahead, Nisa.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. You have to move those planters. Not only people with disabilities can't get through, it'll block access to the sidewalk. Cars cannot get out. I mean, people can't get out of their cars. Now, they also have trafficking, cheap labor. And according to Abraham Lincoln, who signed a bill, signed Emancipation Proclamation in January 1863, announcing that all persons held as slaves within the areas are and shall be free. Now, you're not doing anything about it. Now, pretty soon, everybody's
That's-
going to do what they
And
want.
that's 60
Every criminal
seconds. And we'll move next to Gigi. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I've been doing the math, and I have no idea what information to plug in because I don't know how much a violation would be. I don't know what day they were sent a letter to remove those planners. But if you look at a $50 fine per day for 251 planters, 251 violations, that's $12,550 a day. Depending on when that was sent, that could end up being about $3 million. I'm looking at stuff on the agenda today, and that could take care of this agenda, basically. Like, everything that's on there. So, please do something and get this money for the city. That's a lot. That's not chump change. $50 a day, 251 violations at least, just on the planters. $12,550 a day. Do the math. Do what's right for the city of LA. get that money for us.
And that's
Thank
60
you.
seconds. President Corson, we do have two, that concludes public comment, and we do have two multiple item agenda commenters.
We'll close the general public comment portion for today's meeting and move on to the multiple agenda items public comment, which is an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment for up to 1 minute per item. And for today's meeting, it'll be a total of 2 minutes. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item. Mr. Knight?
Yes, thank you, President Corson. We'll move first to Audit LA. And please identify which item you're speaking on. Go ahead.
I'm speaking on both items, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, it's such a short schedule for a Monday, okay? There could be more on here. We've been asking since June to put our concerns on the agenda.
So this is not public comment?
I understand that. I'm talking about these two. Give me a chance. But since it's not on the agenda like it should be, we'll talk about these two. All right, first of all, on number two, we're dealing with the same thing that we're always dealing with. People coming in, they give a bid, they come in, oh, you know what? It's not enough money, we need more. And they have the city hostage, right? Because it has to get done. So, so what are you going to do? You will absolutely vote yes on number two, without any doubt. You will do that. But, what happened that led up to this point? Are you guys managing? Are you guys checking? Are you guys making sure? Are you guys putting I know it's not you, but are you putting pressure on the managers on your board, on all your different, street services, BOE, whatever, all of them, to be efficient? Okay, what is, where's the efficiency in this city? There isn't any. I mean, we've proven it. You see it time and time again. Okay, and also with the contracts, you're going to give these contracts with all the, is there efficiency in looking for what they, are they qualified? Do these same companies keep doing the same game? Because to me, it's a game. It's like, okay, I'm going to go give the low bid. That's easy, because then I know I can always come back for more money. And then, are you also, like, I've always brought these concerns about slave labor. I'm sorry, I've been, one of the previous board members kind of scoffed at that. If you don't think there's slave labor in America,
That's 2 minutes. And we'll move next to Yvonne. Yvonne, you have 2 minutes. Please identify which item you're speaking on. Go ahead.
Item number one, and I would like my comments to be noted in the minutes. The item description or the information would be clearer to the public and probably to the board members if the source of funding was more clear in its origins. When you say it is coming from a fund, is that a result of fees collected on, for example, sewer service or trash services, and therefore not from tax revenue? The contract is clearly overstated because the year prior did not have actual expenditures equal to the original bid. It is a cost plus or on demand type of service contract, and I understand that, but again, the public may not understand that. This is not a total buyout contract where it's fixed price and the job gets done once and you pay one total. Number two, similar problem in what is the funding sources, and the labor is clearly stated. However, even in a professional setting, you end up with slave labor when you have people underpaid at on temporary basis in clerk capacities. Please be sure that all labor is paid a fair price. Thank you.
President Corson, I do see an additional hand raised on the Zoom platform. If you like, I can see if that attendee would like to offer multiple item agenda commentary, or if they would like to offer single item commentary.
Yes.
Thank you. Nisa, I see your hand is raised. Would you like to offer commentary on our agendized items this morning?
Yes. Now, I don't know how much you guys have in your budget, but it sounds like you guys keep asking for more money when there are other people in on L. Ron Hubbard
So this is not
Way.
public comment. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute. The multiple agenda item commentary period is not for public comment. It is to speak on the agendized items. I'll go ahead and put you back on, unmute you, and if you could please note which item you're speaking on. Go ahead.
Now, I don't know where you're getting your budget, but it seems like you keep going over budget. Now, now you can't keep doing that because I don't know where you're getting your budget, but you're going to have to start taking away Church of Scientology's tax exempt status so they can pay their share since they're not using their cash wisely. I'll yield back the rest of our time to avoid going off topic.
And that concludes multiple agenda item commentary this morning, President Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. With that, we'll close the multiple item agenda public comment for today's meeting and move on to the approval of minutes for both Friday, January 31st and Friday, January 24th. If there is a second to my motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. There is a first from myself and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Very well. We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of minutes for January 24th and January 31st. Starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes, and this item is approved unanimously.
Great. With that, we'll move on to item number 1, which is in all council districts, task order solicitation number S-025 for Jacobs Engineering Group. And we have here with us Dan Myers.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Dan Myers with LA Sanitation and Environment. The item before you today is the award of a task order solicitation to Jacobs to support the development of a new request for proposals for the Recycler program. In January 31st, 2017, the city awarded exclusive franchise contracts to 7 franchise contractors, also known as Recycler Service Providers, also known as RSPs. Under these contracts, the Recycler Service Providers were responsible for providing collection services for solid resources. It included collection, disposal, and recycling to approximately 65,000 commercial and multifamily customers. The Recycler contracts that began in 2017 expire on January 31st, 2027. City Council authorized in the first quarter of 2024 authorize LA Sand to develop a new RFP to meet the city's environmental goals, state requirements that include organics collection and fleet electrification. LA Sand has begun the development of the RFP, and we're looking to release the RFP in May of this year. In order to finalize the RFP, LA Sand requires assistance in finalizing the development and performing a number of studies. The assistance needed entails a rate study of other jurisdictions, a service analysis and development of a rate model, a model for services, as well as finalizing the RFP, technical assistance for proposal evaluations, technical assistance in negotiations, and a resource need analysis. On September 19th, 2024, LA San issued TOS S025 to all 31 firms on LA San's on-call consultant list. In October, a pre-proposal meeting was held where 5 prime contractors attended. That included HDR Engineering, Jacobs, Burns and McDonald Engineering Company, Alisto Engineering Group, and CWE. LA San received 3 proposals. HDR from HDR Engineering, one from Jacobs, and one from Burns and McDonald. Upon evaluation of the proposals, a panel of LA staff recommends the award to Jacobs. Jacobs demonstrated a thorough knowledge of the city's procedures and practices regarding solid waste, and provided a better cost proposal than the other 2 proposals. The budget for this program is just over $2 million. That includes a $478,000 contingency. The duration of the TOS is for 30 months with one 12-month extension. The 30-month duration is necessary to secure the resources needed through the start of service of the new contract scheduled for February 1st, 2027. That concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner King?
So thank you for that. For task number 6, when you mentioned conduct stakeholder meetings, can you elaborate on that point? What are the stakeholders in this particular definition?
So as we go through the process, evaluation and through negotiations of the contracts, our stakeholders will be similar to the stakeholders we had at when we did the first round of the RFP. That included business associations. It included a meeting with environmental groups. Just to list a couple of main categories of the type of stakeholders that we have met with and will meet with.
Does any of the meetings involve any of the neighborhood council or more of the grassroots organizations?
So yes, as a matter of fact, we reach out to all the neighborhood councils during the first RFP, and we will again during this RFP session to offer a briefing or discussion on the new RFP.
And the reason I'm asking is that I think the general public is still very much confused about the different types of recycling programs that the city is conducting, especially related to organics. And I would greatly appreciate additional engagement being focused on different communities, not only those that speak English, but multi-languages as well.
Very good. And I'm happy to report that we have secured grant funding for additional outreach, specifically through an organics grant. So the current organics grant we have has grant funding of just over $800,000 for printing of material in multiple languages, as well as doing education and outreach. The second grant is just over $1.2 million, and will include ongoing, outreach material as well as urban gardening and composting workshops on organics and organics recycling, as well as securing a consultant to do just what you have discussed.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Vice President Chavez.
Thank you. I'm just curious. I would love to get a better sense of where we are in achieving targets. I know that there's targets both that we hit that we included as part of the program when it was first adopted, and there were a lot of different goals that the program had. Some of them which were city established, and others are mandated by law, by state law. for example, on the organics, that comes up a lot. I keep hearing that we're doing all these programs, but we haven't quite hit all of the targets. I mean, how far are we from hitting, some of these mandated targets in terms of reductions from our diverting things from going into our landfills?
So, great question, and a lot in that question. For organics, for example, SB 1383 requires that every customer have organic service. And right now, the way that the recycler contracts are structured, it includes a base service that includes black bin and blue bin, and you can opt in for organic service at an additional cost. So as of today, because of this opt-in piece of Recycla, we're only 57% compliant with state regulations. So just over half of our customers have organics and the other half don't, which is very difficult. We hear from our constituents, the residents of apartment buildings all the time that they don't have access to organic recycling because it's the management company, the landlord, that needs to subscribe to that service. And that's one of the things we do want to address in this new RFP. So we do have quite a ways to go. So right now, our collection of organics is low with only 50% participation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Just to follow up on that. So as part of this new technical assistance that we're getting for developing the RFP, well, part of the work the consultant is doing is to identify, do an analysis on, why, what are the reasons behind it? What are some suggestions on how we get there? Because obviously we all thought we were going to get to the goals back in, 2015, 2016. When the city adopted the program, but we just haven't gotten there. So is that part of the work that's going to be developed as part of this contract?
So I'll answer it with somewhat. So it won't get down into the nitty gritty of, say, the outreach, education, and what it takes to move people to utilize an organics bin and utilize it correctly. What it will do is it will look at what services are required for what organic services are required as it compares to your volume of trash, your volume of recycling. So it will help to ensure that a customer has access to the right level of service for organics, and then develop the rate model associated with that. It doesn't get into the outreach of getting the customer to correctly use that.
Okay. You didn't fully, I see that you somewhat didn't answer my question, but I mean, I would like to see more of an analysis, whether that's from the staff, you guys do that, or if you work with the consultant to do that. But I think that there needs to be, sooner rather than later, an analysis of, number one, what didn't work, what did work, best practices on how we achieve these goals, because, we can't get into the situation again, right? We're going to, have a new program. We may end up raising rates. People don't want to hear that. These are expensive programs to manage. And I think we need to really take a hard look at, is this achievable? And what are all of our options from the get-go as you're going down the path to develop the program, because you don't want to find out these things again after the fact. Years after we're doing it, we find out that we didn't hit the targets. And I know you guys have learned a lot. There's been a lot of learning in this process, but this isn't new anymore. I think at the beginning it was pretty cutting edge. It was a major culture change within the Bureau, within the city staff. There's been a lot of programs in other municipalities and in other countries that have been very successful in diverting from their landfills. So we need to get there. So I mean, I would like to just get sooner rather than later, just that analysis of what you guys are thinking in terms of options, what the analysis is. Again, best practices from other municipalities, other countries, you know, how they're doing it. There's a lot of different tools in the toolbox in order to hit goals, whether they are incentives, whether it's education, whether it's penalties. I think all of it has to be on the table. So
So,
appreciate that.
well, very good. It is something we can look at doing as part of this toss within the budget. Also, we have information, happy to share it with you, of just some of our communications with our customers. We put out an incentive program to customers where we would pay for 9 months for an organic bin. So free service. We reached out to just over 3,000 customers. We identified to participate in the incentive program. We had only 300 contact us to let us know they were interested in the program. As a result of that, we did reach out to every single one of them. So happy to share some of what we learned from talking with those customers, their reasons for participating or not wanting to participate, so we can begin to address those hurdles.
Okay, yeah, I would love more information. That'd be great.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Sorry to belabor you, Mr. Myers. I know you thought you'd be in and out quickly. I have a question in a different vein. You mentioned the grants that you received. How unusual is that in terms of the department receiving grants in terms of RFPs sort of adjoining at the same time? Is that unusual practice in this case, or is that somewhat common?
So, I mean, this is a matter of just happens to be the alignment of the RFP and the grants that are available. But you know, it's that the grants are available because of through the organics program, specifically SB 1383. One of the reasons we need a new RFP is because of SB 1383. So it's not just coincidence as far as the timing, though, those grants lining up. It's lining up very well.
It's the objective almost.
Correct.
And were the grants monies received, was that taken into consideration when we drew up the RFP in terms of the amount of money needed? Was that built in, or was this sort of icing on the top?
You know, it was above what we anticipated. But one of the things one of the reasons the grant is as heavy as it is in the outreach component is because what we're looking at to do under the new RFP is to take more control of the outreach and education for essentially for the recycling part. That was left primarily to the contractors, our RSPs, in this version of Recycla.
The current.
And quite frankly, although they were out there doing outreach, it obviously did not hit all the areas. It didn't bring the message to everybody that we wanted to get to them. So LA San is looking at bringing a lot of that outreach back in-house. So then we can then target our different stakeholders with a very targeted message.
I just want in that instance then commend both the department's view that in fact we needed to supplement the education that's going on, as well as given the budgetary restrictions or constrictions that we have, using grants to sort of supplement to be able to carry out our work when the general funding is not available. And this, I think, something the board, I mean, all of us are going to be interested in looking at going further in terms of other RFPs, other projects, each bureau in terms of how can we supplement the limited budget that we have for the enormous amount of services that needs to be done.
So very good. And being able to supplement through things like grants is extremely helpful. One of the things that that we're going to be looking at when we talk about the resource analysis for Recicla, it's at looking at what's needed in 2027 and beyond. That's say different than what's needed now, like the outreach piece that we're going to take a much more active role in. That's part of what the analysis is going to be looking at. Are those costs moving forward?
Thank you.
So I want to ask a few questions. You have phase 1 listed and then phase 2. When does phase 2 kick in?
So phase 2 kicks in when after we've received the RFPs and we enter into the evaluation negotiation phase. That's kind of the phase 2 part of the program. So it's getting the RFP out right now and all the studies that need to be done, the development of RFP. There's very complicated forms because of the way the rate models and service models are set up that need to be developed. That's the bulk of what's in the phase 1, as well as I believe it also includes the resource analysis and the beginning stages of the outreach, stakeholder engagement.
Okay. And this is a 30-month agreement?
This is a 30-month agreement.
When does the RFP need to be out?
The RFP needs to be out by May of this year.
Of this year?
This year.
Okay. And then it needs to be, we'll take them up as a body by fall of 2026?
I'm hoping that we take it up, probably mid 2026, fall at the latest, because to get them awarded, we'll need at least 3 months to get through this board, city council on award from my experience.
So we talked about this in our briefing, so just we can talk about it more openly here. It's a 30-month contract plus another 10 months to bring it to 40 months, but the contract RFP will be out before then. The contracts will already be active for a year if this goes to 40 months. So as a body, what should we be ready for in terms of report packs post 2027? And then if there is an extension to 40 months, of what is that additional work and scope to look like?
So the 30 months is to make sure that what we're able to do is to get through our implementation. And so what we're looking at is almost 2 years from a couple of weeks ago for the new contracts to start. So that takes us to 24 months to have our Jacobs, our consultant, on board to be able to respond if there's any additional requests that come up. We would need to come back to this board if it's outside of this scope. But it needs to get us to make sure that we have that support through what is a transition. So our last transition, which was extremely complicated, it was impactful to our customers. I was at city council every other month, providing updates, responding to a number of questions. That transition period was for 9 months. We're going to meet a much shorter transition period. We're not going to be going through what we went through before, which was moving from an open permit system with most customers not even having blue bins, limited knowledge on our true customer base, their level of services, their needs. That was a complicated transition. That's why I set it at the 30-month mark, which would get us through the start of the service at plus an additional 6 months. I don't anticipate we would need anything past that 30-month period. But it's, these type of transitions can be difficult.
So what is the transition? Because like, what would that look like if more vendors come online, or the transition to new services? Like,
So it's all of that. So when we award these new contracts, don't know at all where we're going to land as far as which contractor is providing services in which area of the city. Okay, so we would need to, if let's say in just one zone of the city, we change contractors. What that means is the new contractor needs to come in. They need to swap bins out because the old contractor will remove their bins. So you need to coordinate with the old contractor and the new contractor for swapping bins. And when we're swapping bins, it's not 96-gallon bins. These are often 3-4 yard bins. They're huge. You can only put a couple on a truck at a time. So it's that transition, as well as the time that it needs for the incoming service provider contractor to be able to secure all the develop all the routing that's necessary for the collections. Collection of trash is actually very complicated. It's got so many moving parts, and just the knowledge base of each driver that's necessary to know, okay, at this location the bin is in the back corner. I need to go through these 2 gates, secret knock on this door to get to it. So there is all of that transition that needs to happen. The good news is, where we are now that we weren't before, is we know every customer, we know their service, we know the bins they have, we know the days they're collected on, we know the routes that the trucks are running to provide those. We will be looking at a new aspect, which is somewhat similar, not as large. We rolled out blue bins to almost 65,000 customers in the first phase of Recicla. We're not going to do that in this next phase, but we do have another 30,000 plus customers that don't have green bins. So it's the rollout of those green bins to the 30,000 customers that don't have it now. And if you just give them a bin and you don't provide them with any outreach and you don't talk to them, your participation is going to be limited, and you're going to be collecting, a very contaminated stream. That all occurs in what I call transition.
I have 2 more questions, I promise. So going back to what Commissioner Kang asked about stakeholder engagement, as someone who gets the complaints about Recicla providers, is this part of the engagement going to be speaking to customers as well and getting their feedback on the program, and how or if the contracts in the next portion should be adjusted to meet customer satisfaction?
So yes, I mean, when I know, for example, when we do attend the neighborhood council meetings, often they're attended by
But
what all the customers.
they're not the customers, though, right? Like the customer is not the person who goes to a neighborhood council meeting. It's going to be the commercial property owner or an apartment building or a condo complex, office complex, right? Like, so I'm not sure if like going to a neighborhood council would deliver the customer feedback. I'm not saying that's not important, but there's another level of customer engagement, and I'm just curious if that is the scope, if this is enough time to actually develop that RFP.
So, well, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer
Okay.
to the community engagement piece in terms of the residents. I mean, when we're dealing with the business owners, you know, they are the ones that belong to the associations. The business owners are the ones that do attend. The other half of our customers, we have about a 50-50 split between customers that are multifamily properties and customers that are commercial businesses. Reaching the residents of, which I think is what you're referring to, of the multifamily properties. That's one that I'll have to engage you further on, and you know, ideas of reaching that group. Typically, when we get calls or complaints, it's typically from the management company,
Right.
the landlord. Then there are the ones that are responsible for the service. So there's, I know when it comes to multifamily, there's two groups. One's the residents, and the other one is the landlord, property owner / management company.
So this is from an on-call list, correct?
Correct.
And just if you could add a little bit more color on why Jacobs and not the other two. I understand, you know, what you said about experience working with the city, but in my mind, when someone makes it onto one of our on-call lists, there is a minimum threshold of capabilities they've met. So if we're going to choose one over two others, I would like to have on the record a little bit more details of why one was selected and not the other two.
Well, certainly. You know, we went through all three proposals in detail. There's a list, I believe, 5 different evaluation criterias that we use to evaluate the proposals. Well, I'm not sure the detail that you want to get into, Commissioner, but you know, of the 3 proposals we received, 2 of them, as far as their narrative on experience and support, you know, above the third. When we looked at the proposals, that one of the rankings were cost. Jacob's cost proposal came in $300,000 less than the second, the other proposal that had also a very good proposal. That a well-drafted proposal that addressed all the issues, experience in the development of RFPs and rate models and costs, led us to Jacobs. Wasn't a big gap in the scoring. We received 2 very strong proposals. Ultimately, the cost did push Jacobs to the top of the ranking list.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Any other questions, commissioners? I will say we kind of put you to a gauntlet of questions, but Recicla is an important program, high visibility, and this itself, although just to help us get the RFP out there, will be scrutinized, and we need to make sure like we get all those questions out there, and we as commissioners can also be prepared to respond to stakeholders who ask why Jacobs and what's the process of the RFP. So thank you for your patience in taking our questions. If there are no other questions or comments, commissioners, is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, there is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Very well. We will go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item 1, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell.
Aye.
All ayes, and this item is approved unanimously, and it's adopted forthwith.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 2 on today's agenda. In Council District 11, task order solicitation number S007A for Corolla Engineers. And we have here Christina Jones.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Christina Jones. Sorry. All right, is that better? Okay, good morning. Right into it? Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Christina Jones. I am an environmental engineer at LA Sanitation and Environment in the Water Recycling Implementation Division. I am part of the Pure Water Los Angeles program, which, as you may be aware, is a program we are delivering with DWP. And a big part of this program is to bring recycled water to the city of Los Angeles with a certain amount of urgency, especially as it relates to Hyperion. So that's what brings me here today to talk to you. I'm here to talk about task order solicitation S007A. We are looking to get approval for increasing the budget by $1,740,000 to bring the new total to $3,800,000. There's a lot of work that is part of this task. In part, it's going to be to continue ongoing activities for the program as it relates to risk, schedule, and budget controls. And this is going to be really important as the program is evolving very rapidly, and there are many activities and nothing is stopping. There's a lot going on. However, more time sensitive is the grant activities that are included in this task order solicitation. We have to continue our work on these grant deliverables. We have some due dates that are coming up in the next few months. These are due dates that are related to a grant that we were given last year from the Bureau of Reclamation. However, some of the activities are also going to be going towards creating a second series of documents that will be towards competing for a subsequent grant. So a lot about grants and a lot of hopefully some financial support for our Pure Water Los Angeles program, especially as it relates to planning at Hyperion. So that's the general information on it. Happy to take any questions and provide any information I can.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Knight, there is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from Commissioner King.
Very well. We will go ahead and take a roll call vote on approval of item 2, starting with you, President Corson.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
And Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes. Item 2 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Great. Mr. Knight, have we cleared the desk for today?
Yes, we have, President Corson.
Great. It is 10:53. This meeting is adjourned, and we will have a management meeting starting in 2 minutes.
Thank you.